the key reason why we have problem with capital is because we focus excessively on liquid cash. There are people who believe that there are some village people somewhere who are after them.
And they will not allow you to succeed.
With such belief system, it doesn't matter how much you have, you spend. Even when you're running that small business alone, running as though you were accountable to other people. That is the easiest way to be able to attract external funds. So what most people who call themselves entrepreneurs do now is the first time small money enters their hand,
they buy land for.
They're going about buying the latest. Now they want to raise their shoulder. Now they want to show that they have arrived. Conqueror, the emperor, the champion is here. They want to show that they have arrived. Because of that, I don't know who they are in competition with. They want to look good. They wear the best of clothes. They now start showing up. And once that starts happening, you start getting distracted.
Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast. In today's podcast, I have a super amazing guest. He's the founder and Chief Knowledge and Transformation Officer of Startup Varsity. He's the author of several books, and one of his most recent books is this book, Welcome to TED. So it's good to have you here, Mr. Kingsley. Welcome to today's podcast.
Thank you so much, Chidi, for having me.
All right,
it's such a pleasure.
Thank you. So in today's podcast, we'll be talking about how small business owners can navigate common small business challenges. Okay. Right. So you are the founder of Startup Varsity. Right, and first question I want to ask you is, how did you get into the entrepreneurship space, right? And also, while telling us about your journey, also tell us if you had any challenges so far.
Today, Startup Varsity is the biggest and possibly the only viable technology innovation center and hub in Calabar as we speak. But it was not a smooth and easy journey, right? So how do I describe how I started my business? Do I say it came by the passion was there? Okay, it is something risk takers, entrepreneurs are born. You are born with an energy, a drive towards wanting to help other people. You're not comfortable with the status quo. You want to be able to help as many people as possible solve certain problems, create certain value. You know that it's within you. All right, it's a mindset, it's a way of thinking that says, I can create a new world. I can become. It's like being your own local government chairman, your own governor, your own president, especially in Nigeria. All right, because so that mindset, that way of thinking, came from a very early age. You know, so imagine that as far back. I was just remembering, I was in a panel session recently, and I was asked the very first thing I sold, and I remember all the different things I sold and all that. You know, I have hawked things around everywhere in this town. Everywhere, from very early age, helping my mother as a single mother and all of that, right? My story is that long and that deep. But the very first thing I created, a product I created and so was a newsletter. So I had this, I bought A4 paper, then I wrote some things. I can't remember what the name was, the name of the newsletter. But I had sections, I have articles I wrote, quotable quotes, words of wisdom, all of those kind of things. And then I put that together, then I did photocopy of it. I wrote it with my hand, I had very wonderful handwriting in primary school. Then I photocopied front and back. Front and back was 2 naira, 1 naira for front, 1 naira for back. And I sold it for 5 naira. So that's how
everything sparked up.
And all of that. So this was primary 5.
Really?
Yes, primary 5.
Wow.
So as far back as then, but I had always knew back then computers were very rare to be found. It was not what it is now, internet or whatever. Those were things for the big boys and all of that. But I knew that there was something in me that said, that called out towards being in the digital and tech space, even though the opportunities were very limited. In the whole of this Calabar, there were like 3 cyber cafes, right? The areas that just came out, so we'll go there, buy time. Having laptop was, like talking about laptop, there was no mobile phone, there was nothing. I grew up in a university staff quarters, and we had a few people who had computers system. You know those computers you put in a computer room. There was a particular room that so this is computer room and all of that, you know. And one of my neighbors happened to, he traveled to the US for his master's and he came back with one of those systems. So his children were playmates together. Once in a while, we would sneak into the room, when the parents are not around, and then they'll play games. It's from there they started teaching me. I said, use my own time and teach me one or two things. So I started developing interest and all. That's how the journey to where we are now started from there. From there, I started learning how to do web graphics and all of that. And by the time I got to JS3, I set up my first website. I had learned how to do website graphics, and then I had business card. I set up my company. I was creating content. I launched my first book, first physical book, a year after, about the same year. I was in SS2, and then about the same. That book sold out 1,000 copies in less than 3 months.
Beautiful.
Yes, because so that's how I got into the digital space, tech, content creation, and the knowledge space and all of that. So that's the journey hasn't been that smooth, but that's where it started.
All right, very interesting. So you spoke about businesses always solve a problem, right? Now, if someone is to ask you, what is the exact problem University is solving, what would you say?
Okay, so University is that place where you come in without clarity, without the right skill, without the right tools, without the right financing and all of that. You come in and you walk out with a startup.
Beautiful.
So University is about digital skills, tech talents, startups, venture capitalization. The key advantage of University is not like a school, even though we do teaching, even though we do research, even though we do all of that, but it's a place where you come in and get practical knowledge to solve real problem and be able to set up something, launch your vision, your idea with what you've been equipped with.
All right, very, very interesting. That's an interesting point. So so far, this is where it becomes very interesting.
Okay.
So far, you've been able to run University for about how many years now?
Okay, so what we now have as University started as StartHub. And we launched StartHub about 6 years ago. We've run multiple businesses on that, multiple platforms. So it was last year that we began the process to what we now have as University, reflecting the future of what we started as StartHub as an institution that it is not just one tech hub somewhere, but a full-fledged higher institution of learning and doing, where tech is being promoted and all of that. So this was officially launched at the Calabar Festival of Ideas Conference on August 23rd. Yes.
So technically, you've run University for about 6 years.
Yes.
Now, right. So what are like the common challenges you've had so far running your business?
A friend of mine said that a business owner in Nigeria, an entrepreneur in Nigeria, is his own local government chairman. And he said that to reference, so you're here now, so we have to give ourselves our own light.
Of course.
Yeah. We have to dig our own borehole. We're the one providing our own water. We're the one, yes, for everything. So these are common things that in other climes, the government will provide.
Exactly.
So we provide virtually everything for ourselves, right? You have to look after yourself, and all of that. So business challenges are usually the same. It begins with you, the founder, the small business owner. It begins with how much clarity did you have from the beginning when you were starting, and when you have those questions not clearly figured out, then you begin to have a lot of problems and issues here and there.
Right.
So how much clarity, what model are you running? So I said at the beginning, for you to have a business, you must be very clear on the problem you're trying to solve, the people you're trying to solve it for. The problem must be endemic enough, strong enough, powerful enough, or must be problematic enough for the people to want to pay for it. And the people having this problem must be, they have to be many. The number has to be, so you need what they call the market, right? In order for you to be able to start. So let's say if you didn't have clarity, let's say you thought that this problem, once I just start solving it, so you didn't do enough research, you didn't study your environment very well, study the idea very well. Like a lot of young people come to us and they come with this grand idea. Oh, it's going to solve problems. It's going to do this. Every day in my office, there's no day I don't entertain one right idea. This is the best. This is going to solve the problems of the whole world.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm the greatest genius that ever lived.
This is the first time this problem is being solved.
I'm telling you. And in fact, in the next 1 year, I'm going to be running home with 10 million or 20 million or whatever. So you have young people come with. Then I usually subject them to a few tests.
Yeah.
You just ask a few questions.
Yes.
Now the idea is not to kill the excitement, because entrepreneurship, in the process of entrepreneurship, there's excitement.
Of course,
there's excitement because we are risk takers. We get excited and all that. Now the idea is not to kill the excitement, but you need to validate the idea. Sometimes, a problem, there can be a problem that people don't want to solve. So there can be a problem that maybe you want to solve, but people are not willing to pay for to be solved.
Exactly, that's true.
So there can be, we do all of this analysis to find out that there is a market. We do analysis to find out that your solution is a real solution that will solve real problem, and all of that. So if you enter the market and you didn't really look at these variables very well, then you're going to have a problem where you get into, you start, and then you start having issues within a very short time. You have a lot of issues. While not all problems in life, we're not in 100% control of all the eventualities of life, of all the things that will happen. But when it comes to business, because business is about taking calculated risks, it is a calculation there that makes us know who a business person is and who is a gambler.
No, not exactly. That's key.
So gambling is about you just take any kind of risk.
Uncalculated risk.
Yes. So a business person, an entrepreneur, is a risk taker who. So we're taught factors of production: land, labor, entrepreneurship, capital, right? And we say that the entrepreneur is the one who combines all the other factors and takes the risk. The entrepreneur is a risk taker who knows how to combine all the other factors and all of that. So when you have sat down and done the calculation clearly, you will be able to mitigate against those number of risks and all of that. Let me tell you a story. It happened just close to us here. Somebody that I got to know later. So there is this microfinance bank, I won't mention the name. They give loans for, micro businesses. So she took a loan, 100,000 naira to start a restaurant, and then she took the 100,000 naira loan, 100,000 naira. She didn't have any other money anywhere. This was for the restaurant business. The exact rent for the place she saw was 100,000 naira.
Wow.
She took the loan, paid for the rent for the place, and then for 6 months she was servicing this loan from wherever she was getting money from, running around from pillar to post looking for who will help her, while also looking for money to equip
the business,
to be able to equip the shop that she rented, because she now needed. She finished renting the place before she suddenly remembered that she will need pot, she will need gas, she will need whatever in order to be able to set off the restaurant.
Wow.
That problem would have been solved to a great degree if she sat down to do a little business plan.
Exactly.
So just a little calculation, maybe just one page. What will be required of me? What do I need to put in place? Then calculate, okay, do I need to go for a shop of 50,000 so that I can use the other 50,000 to take care of A, B, C, D? So some people don't think, so I think the very first problem is, which is usually easily manifested, is usually very visible. As you start to run, once you launch and you start the business, people will know. No matter the paparazzi you put together when you're launching, people will know that you didn't think this through carefully. All right, so proper planning, all right, and putting the right structure can really be the first, can really help in mitigating against the common challenges. But in summary, so business owners fight a lot of challenges, from being able to even get the business running, because you're facing competition, to structuring the business. You're gonna have to hire other people, right? How do you ensure that they are running with the same vision with you? So you have to put certain processes in place. How are you sure that those processes will work, right? You have customers that you have to run after customers. You have to get new customers and all of that. There is so much noise everywhere. How do you get people's attention? In order to make sure that you are selling, or you are attracting the right customers and you're selling to them. How do you even ensure that your running costs, right,
it's not higher,
and all of that? So because where you are running at a very high cost and the money coming in is very low, then you're going to have problems and all of that. With certain foresight, proper planning, and a bit of good structures and system put in place, you can go a long way to not completely eradicating all the problems, but to make sure that their effect doesn't have the kind of impact to have had with you. Yes.
So there's an interesting statistics, right?
Okay.
That I got. I don't know if it will be accurate the way I'm going to say it. So they say, I think 4 in 5 businesses fail.
Yes, so depending on the industry, in fact, in tech, where we are, for example, 9 out of 10 fail in the first 1 year.
The first 1 year, exactly. Wow.
According to a recent a couple of reports that back that, and there are a number of reasons why that happened. Okay. Like in the tech and the digital space. I have a book that I'm writing that the very first chapter I'm addressing some of these issues. The book is titled Startup or Shut Up, a no-nonsense guide for starting and scaling businesses of the future. Okay. In Startup or Shut Up, the first 2 chapters, I look at 736 and I profile my own. It's also philosophical, because I've been here long enough. I've been very observant. Okay. I've been watching out and all of that. Within the tech space, my own take is that there are certain specific reasons why digital or tech businesses in Nigeria, especially in Calabar field, when we've been here, we've seen several tech startups that fail. So this is my idea. My idea is that there are 3 components that make up a tech business. Okay? What I call the show, what I call the business itself, and the platform or the tech. So that's what I put together as what makes up. So there is the real problem you're trying to solve. So it doesn't matter how fanciful your app is.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter whether it is Jumia or it is Bolt.
Exactly.
They are trying to solve. Every problem they are trying to solve is a traditional problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So people want to move from one place to the other. There are a couple of challenges that come in that process with regular cabs and using bike and all of that. And therefore, a ride-hailing app such as Bolt and all of the things that they do becomes necessary. So there's a problem they are trying to solve, right? But in solving this problem, sometimes the people focus excessively on the tech. In fact, focusing on the tech is not even usually the problem. It's their misunderstanding of what the tech really is. The tech is supposed to be all of the means and the ways, the improvement that you've put together that will enable a problem to be solved. But what we focus on tech is mobile apps, web apps.
Exactly. Something just said now, just made me remember. There was the last podcast we did. I invited a brand designer. Okay. So we're talking about the misconception around branding. Okay. For small business. So for a small business owner, when you talk about branding, it's like, I'll get a logo, get a business card, all those kind of fancy stuff. Forgetting that branding is not necessarily about
that, right?
The physical design. It's about what customers perceive of you. So this is an important part of what you were saying.
Beautiful. So you see that problem. There is that focus on the on designing, yes, designing the apps and all of that. Then they leave. So we had a situation like that.
Okay.
A service similar to Bolt was to launch in Calabar some years ago.
Okay.
They did the app. It was not even well tested because now they have forgotten that they are dealing with users.
Yeah.
There are two sets of people in that kind of service. You have the drivers and the riders.
The riders, yeah, that's
right. And you need to be able to connect these two sets of people. So you need, if someone launches the Bolt app, and I want to move from point A to point B, there must be drivers who are also available, right? And all of that. So these people must be connected. So these are the end users of the app. So they leave all of that, they focus excessively. Before you know it, they made a lot of announcements. So this excessive focus on the app and all of that is what I call the tech, right? The platform. Then the show is everything around the marketing, the PR, the branding. Even in the branding, is not user-centric. So there was so many billboards everywhere in town about the app that was about to launch, about the business and all of that. Then they did one grand opening somewhere, but they didn't focus on the basics.
Okay.
And they didn't focus on the business, the real business itself.
That's the key. That's the key. The business.
And so this business was already failing on arrival. It was already set up to fail. So we're looking at tech startups especially,
yes,
within this our space. If you don't focus on the problem you're trying to solve, if you're not solving real problem for real users, if it's not user-centric, if you're not tailoring the solution, whatever it is, to meet the needs of the people, then you're going to focus on the wrong things. So you're focusing, you're paying PR people, you're paying the people, the designers who will call themselves brand experts. You're paying marketers. You're spending a lot of money running ads. You're focusing on what I call the show. Then you're building apps that are not even tested with real users and all of that. So such a business will fail.
Of course.
So there are a lot of things that are not.
All right, that's very, very interesting. And we spoke about some of the challenges, right? And I want us to dive deep into those challenges, okay? Because it's very, very important. When we'll talk about funding, competition, and all of those. So those are key challenges, and it's important that we dive deep, that we can, at the end of the day, find solution to it. Okay? Because at this point, we're trying to see how we can talk about these challenges, these problems, and offer solution to it. So let's talk about funding, right? So funding is like the biggest challenge every small business owner have, especially in Nigeria, is funding. Ask somebody today, what's the challenge? Why have you not started your business? Why is the business not going well? I don't have money. I'm looking for money. I'm looking for this, right? So now let's talk about funding. Right? We've run Startup Varsity for about 6 years now, right? And I know there are times where when you started your business, you needed funding, you did not have the required funding, but your business has still been going on. Okay, how did that, right? How did you overcome these challenges? Funding challenge.
So you are right. Funding has been the most reoccurring theme, the front burner for many young entrepreneurs and small businesses. And then, since the purpose of the podcast, this conversation is about being able to reach that very small business person.
Yes.
So we're not going to be discussing much of the complex stuff.
Exactly.
Many years ago, when I started out trying to talk to young people about how they can start their ideas, put it together, develop it and all of that, the key questions that used to, at the end of every session, every training, every conference, is okay, now that you've explained this thing, how do we just start? We need money, So capital is not something you ignore. It's something very powerful. And so 10 years ago, I became very intrigued with it, and I started an active study. I wanted to understand the concept of capital for the small, not at the bigger level, not at the big startup level now, but for the very small person there who just has an idea to innovate or start out one small thing, or start a small shop, start a small service or something, to better his life, right? So I started researching more on that subject, and some of so these ideas I started researching for a book. right? It took me 10 years because I wanted to practice some of these ideas on myself and be sure that they actually work before I produce it in a material like a book or start teaching it. I've taught it a couple of times, but I really needed time to be able to. So 10 years ago, 2014, I started actively researching this. So I came up with that as the whole of that research is now in an almost publishable format in what I call success capital, the breakthrough formula for funding any vision or project from scratch. Now, some of the ideas may be a bit out of the box, right? But there are common sense. There are things that are very simple, but we've been ignoring. One of the discoveries that I realized, or one of the things I discovered, was that the key reason why we have problem with capital is because we focus excessively on liquid cash. Liquid cash is an example, one of the parts of financial capital. It's not even all about it. It's a small part of financial capital. All our focus is on. So when people say I don't have capital, what they mean is I don't have liquid cash, right? In order to be able to run this. But those same people have many other things that can be converted to cash, right? Have a lot of other opportunities. So I started digging deeper, and then I realized that there are 7 other types of capital outside of liquid cash or financial capital. So you have what I call the real capital, which is the idea itself, the strategies, the plan, the proprietary way in which you want to solve a problem, right? The intellectual property. That's the real capital. Yes. Because that's what sets you, that's what distinguishes you. Then you have social capital, which is your connections, your contacts and all of that, right? The people that you have around you. You have cultural capital, which is your knowledge about what you want to do within the context of your environment. You have emotional, you have psychological capital, which is your emotion, your motivation, and all of that. You have physical capital, your physical energy and stamina, right? You have spiritual capital, your belief system and faith about. There are people who believe that there are some village people somewhere who are after them, and to succeed. With such belief system, it doesn't matter how much you have, you squander it. Then you now have this. I realize that these 7 types of capital can be they can be moved or they can be transformed from one state to another. I call it the process of, or the chemistry of capital transformation. So you can move it from one state to another, and that they can also be converted to cash. Wow. There are people who have said, I have one wicked uncle. I spoke to him about my business. He didn't want to give me money. And all of that, right? When you dig deeper, you realize that they didn't present the idea well. The way. So you're meeting your uncle who has ran his business from scratch, who made his money probably the hard way and all of that. You go to him with just an idea, no business plan, that's true. No paperwork, no nothing. He hasn't seen a clear structure and what you're going to do, and you expect him to just invest money into you.
This is very, very interesting, right? Yes, because it made me remember the time I wanted to start my business. So I started my first business, I think in 2015 exactly. Okay. That was when I was still running up my secondary school. And one of the challenges I faced then exactly was this issue of money. Okay. I was always like, I need money to do this, I need money to do that. And my dad runs a business, right? Okay. He's actually a successful businessman. Okay. So I was like always going to him, find me, you are doing well, give me money to do my own business. Then he would look at me and be like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay. I will explain. He said an interesting idea, but he cannot give me the money because from the way he's looking at me, I don't have the ability to run this business. Okay. I'm trying to say that to say this. So I struggled from 2015 to 2018. Okay. I've done more than I think 7 to 10 businesses. Okay. From t-shirt printing to different kind of businesses, until recently I realized I started my business, and because of what you said, because of the way I presented it, I now have people who are begging me to invest in the business. Okay. So what you're saying is very, very interesting, because a lot of small business owners feel that, my uncle is wicked if he does not give me money. Or imagine somebody, I want to get money, I need 100,000, he's asking me a series of questions, or somebody I want to invest, asking me a series of questions to invest my. Why will he ask me for just common 100,000, 100,000? So what you're saying is very, very interesting. That's an important point.
So raising, of course, we all know you give $1 million to someone who doesn't have clarity, who doesn't know what he wants to do. The money will,
of course,
will go. So again, let me point this out. All the capital that we need, the money we need to be able to start and run our business are around us.
Yeah, that's true.
So they are either the money that you have been able to put together,
yes,
or the money that family is going to give you, friends, future customers are going to give you, angel investors, all of these sources, right? So, but again, this, like I was talking about different types of capital. The capital transformation, or what I call the chemistry of capital, means that you are able to convert your social capital, such as relationship with your father, into cash.
Exactly.
And how you do that is that you must be able to have your real capital set out, which is your IP, your intellectual property. So you sit down, you develop good, clear business plan, strategy, you answer all the questions, you develop a structure for that your business on paper, such that you can show to someone clearly, and once a person have and sees this clarity, it becomes easy. So in other words, the capital that we're looking for are around, but there is a process to getting it there. Another thing is something like cultural capital. If you give money to someone who doesn't have the know-how, you will see squandering.
That's true.
In fact, the most dangerous, I also discovered in my research that money, financial capital itself, cash, liquid cash, can even be a hindrance or a major barrier.
Interesting.
Because when you have, so imagine that the very first time you had an idea for a business, you put it on paper, it's going to cost 10 million naira. You put it out, and then you got the 10 million naira. Right? So when you focus excessively on liquid cash, it makes you, because more than half of the problem of life are not going to be solved by money. There are certain problems that because soon after you solve the problem of capital, you might need customers.
There's so many, exactly.
You might need customers.
Exactly.
Now, another way of raising capital, for example, is from future customers. So one way people raise capital is to say, you go and meet some people. I've done it severally. You meet 10, 20, 30 people. I said, I'm developing this product and this service like this. All right, give me this money. If it's a subscription, if you're using subscription model, for example, give me this money, I'll give you discount. So instead of paying for, you're supposed to pay 100,000, maybe you're supposed to pay 10,000 monthly. So for 6 months, you're supposed to pay 60,000 naira. Give me 40,000. I give you discount. Significant discount.
So that's 20,000.
Good. You will get, so you get that from 10 people.
Potential customers.
Right? You get 40,000 from 10 people. You've gotten 400,000, and you say, I'm going to deliver this service to you once it launches by next week or the next 2 weeks. I need this money and all that. What has happened now is that lack of liquid cash has now made you to go look out for potential investors who are also now going to be your customers, who will also help you in the process of developing the product, because now you'll be able to now have more clarity about the product. You will now be able to develop a minimum viable product, right? And you'll be able to now develop something that it will really solve their problem. They'll give you real feedback and all that. But if you have the cash, you just go and dump it into somewhere, develop a product before you now think of taking it to the market, and nobody will need it.
The market does not need
good. So there are different types and opportunities for capital everywhere. You know, we need to learn, we need to teach business people how to be able to maximize each of these.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it just made me remember. I think that was in 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
So after I started my business, my teacher printing business, I think in 2017. After I tried other business in 2015, 2016, and this principle of not having physical cash, but starting a business maybe through relationship or getting money from customers. That's what I did. So I did not have. Okay, I'd already learned this stuff on YouTube. Okay, right. I don't have a physical store. I don't have customers. I don't have money to start my business, right? And I was like, okay, what do I do? I think I watched the video. I cannot remember who talked about that in the video. If you don't have capital, right? Just go on social media and talk about your business. So I just went to social media. This is a business that I don't have any customer. I've not done it before. I said, oh, I can do this, that. I have skills in this. I started posting pictures of other people business. Those people have done the same line of business. And I posted it. I think I put it around 8 o'clock in the morning. Right, by 12 p.m., like 12 in the afternoon, one of my senior colleagues in my secondary school there messaged me and said, wow, we do this. I said, yes. He said he has a friend, you that they are in the graduating class and they need their t-shirt branded, class of 2017, 26, something like that. Like, can I do it? I said, wow, I can do it. And he was like, okay, how much are they going to pay? I spoke with them, and you know, before this job is given to you, you must have done other work, right? And you must also have the equipment. I don't have any equipment. There was no equipment. There was no money. So what I did was I told them, okay, the overall cost for this job is, I think it was 35,000 then for free of the t-shirt. And I know they had to pay me parts. I said, what happened is I don't have equipment. I was open, so I don't have equipment, but I'm going to do this job. Instead of paying me parts, pay me full. You get your item. So they paid me for the t-shirt, paid me for everything. This is without any equipment. Paid for everything. That was the money I used to start my business. I did the job, delivered, and said extra money to now use get equipment for my business. So that part of raising capital without having liquid cash is an interesting part. And I think this is going to solve a lot of problems for business owners, because when business owners talk about, like you said, when business owners talk about not having finance, it is not finance specific. It is the liquid cash they are talking about,
which is taking their eyes off
the other potentials within them, the relationships, the psychological, all of what you say, all the capitals you spoke about. So it's very, very interesting. So do you have any last words about funding, so that we can get into the other channel?
Okay, so funding, like I said, is basically making sure that you are harnessing all the opportunities available to you, whether at the point of starting or at the point of scaling. So you need funds to be able to start, you need funds to be able to run the business, you need funds to be able to grow the business, move it to a certain level, right? And whether at the beginning, whether you're going to use your own money, or whether you're going to ask family, friends, anybody for money, remember these people are coming to invest in you, in your idea, in your vision. They want to see that you're serious. They want to see money is not. Remember we said the difference between the entrepreneur and the gambler is the calculation in the risk. So they want to see that calculation. So whenever you bring up an idea or something, you want them to fund something, and they don't see the calculation, you're asking them to come take risks, but they don't see the calculation. So whatever it is that you are trying to sell to these people, it would make sure that the calculation is well spelled out in what you are trying to do, and then you will be able to. It also, at the point where you've run a business to a certain level, you now need to be able to raise more capital, for your business. How people they hire they hire the stakes. So now you need bigger money in order to scale your business. People want to see how have you been running this business? So how have you been running the business? You've run the business for 5 years. How have you been running it? That's where they come to do due diligence. They come to see the structure that you put in place. So if they come and see anyhowness, there's no structure, there's no process, there's no systems. All right, there are no procedures. All right, anybody just wake up any day and do whatever he wants. Right, there is no accounting. There is no managerial they don't see that managerial ability, right? They are not going to want to put in money. So run, whether at the beginning or towards where you have run the business and you now need more money, you have to set up the business. In other words, run, even when you're running that small business alone, run it as though you were accountable to other people.
Very interesting.
That is the easiest way to be able to attract external funding for your business. Then of course, someone said that we have one of the quotes in one of the artwork here. He said the best helping hands is the one lying on your shoulder. There is a concept called ramming profitability, or it's also called bootstrapping. It means that you are able to take you start with the small that you have, and then you plow back the profit little by little back into the business. That's the easiest way of funding your business that you are in 100% control of.
Yeah.
So it's not you start the business, you make the first 100,000, you go and buy TV, you go and buy, you equip, you furnish your house and all of that. But that you are able to plow back. You as an entrepreneur, you're the main risk taker. All right. You pay your staff, you pay
everybody gets paid.
Yes, then you make sure that you pay yourself small enough so that you have enough money. It's not the time to go and drive the biggest car. Like you were talking about my own journey. I remember up until when I got married, I didn't see why I had the need for a car. I was always indoors doing my thing, right? So I didn't have need for that. So it enabled me to plow back that money into it. Was when family, in fact, until I bought my first car when I had my first child, right? Because I know that at that moment I needed a vehicle for such mobility, and I bought a very modest car at that, right? And I used that for almost a year before I changed it. So what most people who call themselves entrepreneurs do now is the first time small money enters your hand,
they go and buy land for.
They're going about buying the latest. Now they want to raise their shoulder. Now they want to show that they have arrived. The conqueror, the emperor, the champion is here. They want to show that they have arrived. So because of that, I don't know who they are in competition with. They want to look good. They wear the best of clothes. They now start showing up. And once that starts happening, you start getting distracted. You start going into, there's something very important, and this is interesting and instructive, not just in the area of funding, but as it affects general management of a business. Dangote, Alhaji Dangote recently shared this. Okay. He said that he does not have any house in London, but several of his people that work with him, his employees, they have houses in London. And it isn't because he cannot afford it, but he said something, and that was it was such a learning, a great lesson for me, because I had to pay close attention to that. He said, it's not about being able to afford. It's about the fact that now you start having house in London, you have a house in Canada, you have a house everywhere. From time to time, you start taking vacation, you're using this boat, you're doing. Before you know it, those things that are supposed to be leisure become a major distraction from the main business. That's true. So we have situations where before you know it, people who are supposed to be entrepreneurs, who are supposed to invest their time, energy, everything into the business, are now being distracted. That's true. And so what is supposed to be the finance for the business is now going into something else to fund certain lifestyle, to fund other things, and they're leaving the main thing.
That's very, very, in fact, it caught me off guard, because that's something that has been a very big issue. In fact, a lot of entrepreneurs are having this very big issue, right? So they make profit from their business. The little profit these are the same people that are complaining of funding.
Okay.
They make profit from their business. The next thing is, they are going to buy the latest car. They want to show off, okay, I'm doing better than the other person, and all of those kind of stuff. So it's interesting that you spoke about that. Now, the second challenge business owners have is competition. Okay, right? How do business owners, how should they deal with the issue of competition? Because everybody wants to be the leading business for a particular niche. Everybody wants to lead. Everybody wants to get the highest kind of customers. Okay, how do they?
So let me share with you. I had a conversation with a friend, Patrick from yesterday, and we were talking about some of us within the Calabar ecosystem, and then I mentioned to him, and I said, for every one of us, we have our areas of strength. There are fancy words we use for it now, and all of that. But we all have our areas of strength. If everybody focused on that, on his or her own area of strength, we will not have any problem of competition.
That's very true.
Right? Remember, I posted something some time ago, and I said that I pray for you. May you never compete with someone you're supposed to be collaborating with.
Yeah, that's right.
If we focus on our areas of strength, we will not see anybody as competition.
That's very true.
We may run the same school, but your own school you have your own unique selling point and your unique value proposition. This is what sets you apart, and then this is what sets you apart. People will come to you. We're selling the same food, but people will come to you for certain kinds of things. Maybe you have certain recipes or a way of cooking that is people who like certain kinds of meal will go to it, right? Then you have another and all of that. So it is focusing on what is your unique value, the unique value that you are creating. Because business is about value. That yes, you're solving a problem, but that there is a unique value that you're creating in being able to solve that problem. There's a unique approach that you're making. That is the first or the alpha and the omega of the issue of competition. Okay. That's the main point. Okay. Yes, of the issue of competition. In recent times, the space has become very noisy. Everybody's trying to grab attention and all of that, right? But as much as cutting through this noise, right? Cutting through this noise can be quite tricky, right? It can look difficult, but the old formula is what still works, which is that you have developed yourself, your expertise, your unique value proposition. You develop your product, your solution in such a way that it uniquely solves a problem in a certain way that's different from someone else, and that you are also now able to communicate this in a clear way, right? And all of that. So you're going to have your own. And then of course you must know your own niche. Okay. So I say when you've discovered your niche, you have clarity about your niche, and you're able to develop your solution in a unique way and have clarity in your messaging, then that's how you become a leader in that space. Okay. So now there can be 10 of us selling food here, but now I am now a leader in selling this type of food. This person is the leader in selling. So all of us can be leaders.
Distinguishing factor.
Yes, all of us can be leaders because we are focusing on our strength. When we now start copying, when we now start thinking of how to so for example, recently there's a new WhatsApp update. Okay. Noted that WhatsApp is now becoming very noisy.
Very noisy, yeah, exactly.
Because you see, when you go to Twitter, when you go to Twitter, the fact that originally the 140 character post, right, is what set that apart. The fact that you are having, so there is something unique about it.
Yeah.
When you go to Facebook, the fact that you can just write anyhow you like,
almost like a blog post,
good, is what makes that different, right? When all of these platforms start looking so much like the same, then it becomes a problem. So that's why recently you have Instagram has its own uniqueness. When they came up with Thread, you see everybody, there was this hype and buzz around it and all of that. Yeah. How many days did it last?
I think that was not, was it just a week?
Just a week. Everybody, I'm on Thread. No, now nobody is trading again.
That's true.
I don't know what's wrong, whether it was the middle that had the problem or
on the machine.
So nobody is trading again. Because you see, once there is no uniqueness, once there is no problem, if you're competing just for the sake of competing, right? So sit down and do the homework. Whatever it is, whether you're selling or not. I remember back then when my mother used to sell a shop, and I remember I used to be the one who fried the groundnut. Some days I'll fry 40 cups, 50 cups. It was a small shop, but I was just so good in frying the groundnut that people will come to us and say, okay, fry this groundnut for me. I'm having this occasion.
Wow.
And all, yes. So my mother was now taught me a particular way through which we, even till now in my house, I'm the one who does the groundnut, fries it and all of that, right? And so something as small as frying groundnut, because we take a lot of these things for granted. Something as simple as frying groundnut, you can find a unique way around it and do it in such a way. People are like, why is the color like this? Why is it so crunchy? Why is it like this and all that? It's the way, yes, and all that. So spend time, learn, find out what to do, listen to your customers, and develop something again too. You cannot serve everybody. So one of the mistakes you will make that will make you lose the competition war is when you're trying to serve everybody. So find the niche, find your market, find your audience, attend to them, take care of them, and you will always be on top. There's there's enough space for all of us.
Now, this statement you made, this part you made, just made me recall. In fact, now I said the reason why I started this podcast was because I have passion for small business owners.
Okay.
But the key reason why I started this podcast, right, is because I had a challenge.
Okay.
What was the challenge? So I was always helping my dad. So while in school and when I finished my secondary school, I was always helping my dad in his business. I was always doing well and all of those stuff, right? And we moved from the first store. Because of the way I was there, we were able to move from one store to 2 stores or 3 stores. But then when we left our first store, we went to the second store. The competition, the ground was different. Okay, right? And somebody was selling almost 17 as well. So for the first store, we beat everybody. Okay, I was selling the 17. We had like the most customers. When we went to the next store, we had somebody who was selling the 17 and was doing very well. So we were struggling with customers. Until the point I realized that my father started losing so much customers to his competitor. And then there was no where to gather this kind of knowledge that were teaching on this podcast. So there was nowhere to. I was not like, what do I do? Should I go and fight this person for getting a customer? My father was always like physical. I wanted to do physical. Okay. I looked and I knew that this is not a physical stuff, because when customers realize that we are trying to fight to get them, they move farther away from me. Because they say we are violent and all of this kind of stuff, right? Yes. So this now necessitated that I need to learn how to help my father run his business. I have to find a way. And eventually I started pitching out for resources. I did not get a lot of resources, right, to solve this kind of problem. Because most of the video content you see on social media, or the content you see on social media about small businesses, they talk more about how big businesses can overcome the challenge. They don't talk. They don't deal with the groundnut seller, the person who is breeding it somewhere, who is selling wares and all that kind of thing, right? So it was a struggle for me to get all of this information. Until I said, okay, I have to set up a podcast, get people who started businesses, who have experience with small businesses, yes, and can easily provide solutions. So it's interesting that you're on this podcast, because it made me recall. I said, if I had known this area of competition, these are some important things we would have done. But easily, because we are selling almost the same thing. Okay. And there's no difference. That's the truth. And one thing with customers is that, and also we not also understand customer psychology. I think that's another thing we're going to talk about in this podcast. Right? That's another challenge we had. We don't understand customer psychology. So when the customer comes and says, okay, this is a restaurant, the same food, the same menu, they can just feel like, let me enter this other store. There's no need. Then when you now start feeling bad about them, it now pushes them more to stay in that place. So you are now on the losing end, right? So now let's talk about customer psychology. Okay, that's another challenge, right? So most business owners don't know how to deal with customers. So like you want to sell stuff to somebody and the person is okay. This your neighbor is selling the same price as you are selling, or is selling a bit lower than you are selling. Why should I buy from you? Right? So let's talk about that. How should small business owners deal with this? If you have any resources you can give, if there's anyhow you can teach the way they can get to learn about customers, you can also recommend.
Okay, so I don't want to complicate it, but because now I spend a lot of my time now helping tech startups, people who are launching digital products and all of that, and because I also advise that starting a digital or a tech business or a tech-enabled business is a way to go. And so much of the advice is centered around the digital, the knowledge space, monetizing your ideas, your knowledge, and all that. But I think that the principles are the same. And one of the fundamental principles I teach is that when you are centered around selling, that is when you are less likely going to sell. Yes, when you are focused, because nobody wants to be sold to.
Exactly. That's
everybody wants to keep his money and all that. But people have problems. They want to be helped. They want solutions. So when you come off as someone who is profiling solutions, people are more likely going to want to release their money to you and all that. So when you have value that you're bringing, that you want to exchange for value, I teach in my thinking in reverse, in my thinking risk in the last Calabar photo, I thought about thinking without the box. And so It's a special kind of thinking that begins with the end in mind. You look at the end before you look at the beginning, right? The Bible talks about God knowing the end from the beginning, you know. So it's a special, it's a way of saying, how do I, before you think about your own need, you begin with the need of the other person, you know. And this is very fundamental for small business owners, right? Because recently the whole idea about monetization, about and all of that has made us think so much of visibility, selling, made us focus so much energy on getting money from people as quickly as possible. In fact, there's a school of thought in the startup space that says, get customers to pay as quickly as possible. Make sure that your people start paying for your products as quickly, or your services or whatever it is, as quickly as possible. Why that has its merit and all that, and there is a lot of conversation around it, but we need to understand that people will respond to you to the extent to which they can trust you. They can trust you. So businesses need to be able to build trust. That's why if you're not ready to go the long haul, you shouldn't come start. So there's a process, there is a timing, there is a waiting period, an incubation period where you will need to build trust, where people will need to know that they can trust you. And then there is the approach, which is that you are here to solve people's problems. So when you are service oriented, when you are problem solving oriented, then you're going to get people to trust you, and you're going to get people to relax and be ready to pay with their money and all of that. I think that's the basic thing. That's the basic. Whatever it is that you're doing, when you're just, I want money, people will.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? So as we begin to wrap up this podcast, that has been a very interesting podcast, right? So another challenge, right, as we wrap up, is most of the small business owners complain about marketing.
Okay.
So getting people to see what you're selling, getting that attention, getting people to, this lady is doing this, is doing that, okay, right? So how do they overcome this challenge of poor visibility? How do they get visible to their target market?
Yes, so it begins, that's why I talked about this reverse thinking in reverse. So because once you get it right from the beginning, you remember we talked somewhat about this.
Yes.
And we said it begins with that you have what is unique to you in your offering, in your services, in your the solution, whatever it is that you are now you're now putting together, that you've put together like an offer. What is it that is unique about you? So have you been able to identify that clearly?
Okay.
You know, the features, the benefits, and all of that, you know, which now, then having identified that and put that into whatever you're doing, you now need to communicate it clearly. So clarity and simplicity in communication, communicating what you do, so that you are able to get the attention. All right, so because they said now that attention is a new currency, so be able to get the attention of people. Do a lot of things now to get attention, but we're talking about lasting attention, attention that will last, attention that will bring sustainable value. So it begins with having clarity, you know. So clearly your messaging, your branding, and all of that communicates consistently what it is that you are trying to do, what you're trying to deliver, you know, to your customers. And then when you have this clarity, when you've been able to have this and you communicate, there are a lot of platforms, right? One entrance, like I mentioned earlier, to being able to reach your target audience will be the noise all around. To cut through that noise, the simplest way is communicating your message clearly, right? Making sure that you also have to remove the internal noise. Okay. So if you are saying one thing, people come to your place and they're saying something else, that's a lot of noise. Noise is anything that will not make people be able to relate with you in a simple way, So because people have a problem, you have a solution, they come to you, you profile a solution, they give you value, you grow. That's simplicity. But where there are a lot of things in between, all those and all of that in between, where So someone is coming to you for a particular thing, you're not able to deliver on what you promised.
Yeah, that's
or your marketing, what you're saying is you're offering something else. Or
exactly different from what the customer intended to get.
Good. Or the product or that you develop is not solving the problem you said it was going to solve, or it's not even solving it well, or there are a lot of bugs in your apps or whatever it is that you're doing, or you're offering a digital product that cannot solve a problem. You're offering an ebook that there's no value. You're offering, so whatever it is that you're doing, so someone comes to buy your granite, but he peels it, he cannot eat it, right? So those are noises around what you're trying to do, and that will make it really difficult for you to be able to market, right? So you want to be able to communicate clearly and consistently. So someone comes and then you build, on top of, you begin to layer upon layer. So you have 3 customers who can say that they got value from you, and then they refer you to other people who also now get value. You see, the chain is multiplying. It's a ripple effect, and before you know it, you're growing in your customer base. You're able to keep those people, and you're able to improve on your process and all that. So it's really that simple.
That's very, very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Just cutting out both internal and external noise.
Yes.
That's what helps set apart.
So you cut out the internal noise, which are the noises that you have control over. You want to make sure that you clearly your product, your services are doing what it's supposed to do. They are clear, they are simple to use, they are what is customer centric and all of that. So you remove that what you said it was going to solve is solving that problem, right? So those are the internal noise, all right? Your deliverables matches with what you promised you were going to do, and then the external noise in the marketing channel, social media, the big media and all of that. There's a lot of noise and all of that. So there should be clarity in your message. Understand your niche very clearly, so that when you put out your message out there, the right people will be able to hear you and
develop interest for whatever you're selling. So that's very, very interesting. So last question, right? So far so good. You run, like I say, you're the founder of Startup Varsity. Okay, you've run it for the past 6 years, right? And just recently, decided to rephrase the what adversity is all about. Okay, right? So now, what will you say are the key successes you've had in your business?
Key successes. Being able to do what we have done in the last couple of years, I think, is a major breakthrough. Okay. When we started, it looked like we didn't know what we're talking about. A couple of things. It was looking like alien talk, tech, consulting, and all of the things, all of the things we are now. So recently, everybody's now talking about digital space, startups, and all of that. It was not like that 10, 15, 20 years ago, and all of that. So we entered the space. We started talking. We started saying this is possible. We can help businesses in this area, in that area, and just that impetus, that audacity to begin, and then we stayed true. So whatever it is that we're able to stay true till this time, right? A lot of things have worked in our favor, and all of that. I think that when we look at the space that we are, the customers who have succeeded with our products, with our services, who have grown their businesses, who have launched their businesses, the number of startups that we have helped launch, when we look at them, they found that we were able to simplify the whole process for them. We found that they look back and they see that, what looked very complex, or what looked like it was a big order, we were able to help them with the strategies, the consulting solutions, and all of the things they needed, the tools to be able to get clarity, understand what to do, and launch their businesses. The successes of those customers are like our biggest achievement over the years. The number of startups that we've been able to help launch, the ones that we have invested in, the young people who didn't have clarity about their lives, that we have helped, that we have empowered, that we have helped with skills and all of that. These are our successes. As we look back, we look at the last 10, 15, 20 years. Many of the young people who started with us, many of which have started, are now running their own businesses and all of that. These are our key successes. And we have a lot of plans for the future. But as we look back, right? We're not where we hope to be or we plan to be yet, but we're not where we used to be. You know, we've moved and we'll continue to move. We'll continue to optimize, to improve in the coming years. You know, let me also, as we move towards the end of the podcast, let me say this, that so I've come to, you were even asking me recently, I've come to trademark the concept, the unfair advantage. And this is something that is I developed, and the key or the simple explanation is this, that with certain skills and tools, you can have an unfair advantage. You can have an advantage that other people don't have. Certain digital skills and tech. So tech and digital skills, digital tools gives us an unfair advantage. And that's what I shared with the government officials at the recently organized Calabar Festival of Ideas. And I said, tech is the way to go. The digital space is the way to go, because it is boundless. Boundaries were not limited by boundaries, were not limited, and it's easy to be able to even launch out and start and do whatever you want to do. So for that small business owner listening to us right now, whether you're selling Gary or whatever, think of how you can leverage on emerging tools or current tools that are already available to be able to reposition your business, to be able to scale your business, to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. Take it more seriously. Think about to structure your business properly and all that. These tools, digital skills, tech skills makes it very, very easy. And I teach this, you know, again and again. In the coming days, there's a project I'm running, which I want to be able to empower 500 young people in Calabar who are running small businesses, who are recent graduates, who want to start their own side hustle or do things for themselves, right? Or start their business or grow their businesses. I want to be able to empower them with these skills, help them understand what to do and all of that. And we've started something recently on that, and we're also on my page. If you go there, you'll be able to apply. This will run from now till the end of October, you know, where we're trying to empower these young people with the skills, with the tools, with the templates, with the things that they need, you know, to be able to start out and be able to scale whatever that they want to do. So tech, digital tools, digital skills, and all of that, that's the way to go.
All right. Very, very interesting. So for those of you who want to connect with Kingsley, I'll be dropping the link to his Facebook platform and also where you can actually get access to sign up for the entrepreneurship classes, right? Business training. It's very, very interesting. So before we wrap up, talking about emerging trends and important skills, that's an important point, because those who are listening now will be like, because at this point, this podcast is ending and I'm talking about something very interesting. So talk about emerging. What is one emerging trend you are seeing that small business owners can leverage on, right, to grow their business?
So let's put it this way. Distance is no longer a barrier.
Okay.
And in the next couple of days, distance is not going to be a problem. Where distance, your location, whatever you're producing, whatever you're doing, make it such that you can be able to sell it to as many people as possible. So whether you're in Calabar, you're in Oyo, or you're in Lagos, or wherever, all right, work towards how to use social media, the web, and other emerging tools, platforms to showcase your services. There are freelancing platforms, there are online marketplace, service marketplace platforms, there are social media microblogging platforms through which everybody spends their time there. You know, so if we say attention is a new currency, you must know where people's attention is
and go there.
And then go there.
All right.
So go there, learn how to use these tools, learn how to use this platform, make sure you are there, optimize yourself, put yourself clearly in those places, and then sell what you are trying to sell and all of that. But again, to also get as skillful as possible, right? In the coming days, in the coming years, people are going to, this whole noise, this whole bubble is going to really melt, and people are going to really know those who are the real experts. They will stand the test of time. So learn how to use these tools, learn how to use these skills.
All right, very, very interesting. So it has been a very interesting podcast with Kingsley, and I believe you've also enjoyed this podcast, right? So Kingsley, aside from being the founder of Startup Varsity, right, he's a consultant, he's a business consultant. So you want to reach out to him personally, you want to, a small business owner, you need to share your business blueprint to him, you want him to help you, right, provide actionable tips, right, to help you grow your business, right? I'll be dropping the link to his contact, his Facebook contact, his WhatsApp contact. You can reach out to him, right, and share your challenges with him, and based on your discussion with him, you'll get all the resources and all the information you need. Then if you're a small business owner, if you're kind of person who you're an aspiring entrepreneur, right, you want to get into business but you don't know how to start, you don't know what to do, he's also the right person to show you where to put your foot, right, and what are necessary for it, right? So I'll be dropping all his detail, like I say, in the description below, so you can go down there and reach out to him. Thank you very much for.
Thank you so much, Chidi, for having me.
You did very well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So make sure you like this podcast if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you found value, right? Turn on the bell icon to get notified once we release more podcasts. Our podcasts are released every Wednesday, right? And also you can reach out to us, follow us on Spotify, right? The links of the Spotify channel will be in the description below. So you can go back to Spotify, follow us there, and make sure you stream all our podcasts, anyone you find interesting. Remember, this podcast is all about small businesses, how we help you, those who are aspiring entrepreneurs, right, to start with business, and those who are small business owners, also help you to grow, to scale your business. So thank you very much, and see you in the next podcast.